Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is. Hey, so welcome back. I'm still alive. For those of you wondering if I'm still alive, I am still alive. And it was a crazy night. So you take this test. I'm putting all my stuff out there for my medical test. I'm violating my own HIPAA, I think. But so I went in to get my test done, get everything done so that, well, they test you first, make sure you don't have any blood clots, obviously. So I did that. They did what's called a D-dimer test. And it says, oh, you have blood clots. And I went, okay. So what do I do now? So they did the D-dimer test. It says you have blood clots. And so then from there, they do a CT scan. CT scan says, no, you're negative. The D-dimer test is sometimes shows a false positive. I was like, okay, great. Can we go now? And they're like, well, you have to pee in a cup first. I go, okay. And then that came back irregular. So you pee in a cup, it's irregular. So now you got to go through other tests. And anyway, so what was once meant for yesterday will now be for hopefully tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes. We got a ton to talk about today. And so where do you start? Where do you start with all of the mess and chaos that we have as a country? We'll start with this. There's classified appendix of the Durham has been declassified, and some pretty big revelations are coming out of these pages. This is a lot to take in. Every time I get on the social media or I look at the things that we cover on a regular basis, I go, this can't be the same people that are committing these same crimes. And why are these people not in jail yet? Why are we still sitting here having this conversation? I often say that about the whole case with Eric Coomer and Dominion, which I'll have an update for you on that. That should make you really happy. It's not going to make you happy. But we keep being told that there's more problems. There's more stuff that keeps coming out. Grassley says it's one of the biggest political scandals and cover-ups in American history. The annex of the Durham report and it being declassified confirms what Americans have been talking about for a long time. And you have to ask yourself the question, how could you be right so often? How could people that don't have access to some of these people or circumstances be right all the time? Let's take COVID for an example. We said came from a lab in Wuhan, China. Fact checkers in 2020 said that's not true. It came from a wet market, most probably. And if you would have had Grok back then, it would have said it came from a wet market. Matter of fact, if you go on to any of the AI/LLMs, large language model, machine learning models that they have out there, and ask it a question about anything related to what they have suppressed in the media, they will only feed you that narrative. They use sources like Wikipedia, because that's a reliable source. I mean, I went and read about myself. I now have 3 kids, not 2. That doesn't check. And some of the other things, silly things that they say about me, while ignoring the things in my life that I've done that are pretty spectacular. So people can go in and just change whatever they want, set up websites, and point towards single source of truth that are just really terrible. But we were right about COVID. And if you fast forward with COVID, it was a virus. And viruses get weaker over time, not stronger. And then they said, okay, we got to have a vaccine for this. And it all came down to money. And we talked about that too. We said it all comes down to money. And then we uncovered that the hospitals were getting paid $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 to put people on ventilators. And they would walk into rooms and say, listen, we think you should go on a ventilator. We should sedate you. Your blood ox level is down to 70. And they didn't give them steroids. They didn't give them ivermectin, didn't give them any of the drugs, which were prophylactics. Now, if you fast forward to June of 2020, Dr. Corey gave a speech in front of Congress and said, these are life-changing drugs. This is a doctor. Now, they had already said by that point that they were horse pills and you shouldn't take it, horse paste and you shouldn't take it. And that some of the other things that were, that could have saved people's lives, they threw them out the window and replaced it with remdesivir, which was used with Ebola and killed 100% of the people it was given to. So it looked like we were just one big human, rat test. It almost, if you could go back in time and remember when they gave black men syphilis and said, let's just watch them, let's inject them with syphilis and just watch them. That was our government that did that. But we were right about that. And we were right about the fact that they wanted to do Operation Lightning Speed, I think it was, or something like that. And they were going to run towards a vaccine. Only then we found out that they had been working on the vaccine way back in 2019. And that everyone had to take it. And we said, no, we're not going to do that. And then they said, you guys have to wear the masks. And doctors came out and said the masks don't work. And the particulates that we would have, it's not going to stop anything. That those masks it's a virtue signaling. And yet doctors repeated the same parroted phrases over and over and over again. Now, in the middle of all this, you had the George Floyd deal, who they said he kneeled on his neck, and that's what killed George Floyd. They created an entire frenzy around it. Summer of Love started June 1st. Around the same time that we also saw, what also happened June 1st? Oh, that's right. The Antifa manifesto came out on June 1st. It was promptly posted by Eric Coomer at Dominion Voting Systems because that guy is the epitome of sane, which we know he's not. And during the Summer of Love, they burned down buildings, sometimes with people in it. They shot at little children. They pinned mother against father and had people march on the street because we are a country that just hates black people. That's what they came out with. That was the media cry. And no matter how much you tried to have a conversation with someone, it didn't matter because Facebook and all these other platforms were silencing you. You weren't allowed to talk. And then that anger grew. And then 2020 went into the election deal and President Trump had 100,000 people. Oh, I forgot. In the Summer of Love, by the way, they said that you cannot protest except for you're allowed to protest for this because somewhere along the line, you were safe if you protest because, social justice is immune from the virus. The things that they did to Americans and to people around the world in 2020, we knew what was happening. Now, everyone that's listening to this already knew that what they were doing was the devil's work. And the more we said it, the more we got ridiculed. As they pinned everyone against each other, and Derek Chauvin, he went to prison for it. And then we got that small clip where it looked like he was kneeling on him. We didn't have any of the other information. No, they waited 6 months to put that back out. And when they finally did put that out about George Floyd, nothing that they said was reality. The news had lied almost as much as they had lied in the 60 Minutes deal with Kamala Harris. So fantastically made up. And yet the American people put up with it. There's these experiments that have been done of people walking into a room and you have 20 people in there. And you're like, this guy is super smart. He's got an IQ of 500. He's going to talk to you about something. And everyone's sitting in the room. There's like 25 people there. And those people, he would say something. I don't remember. I'll find it and send it to you. It was also in a book, a psychology book. And he would say some nonsense, complete nonsense. And then in saying all that nonsense, everyone would clap for him. And then he would talk about some more nonsense. It's something so ridiculous, it goes something like this. Your grandmother had webbed feet. You just couldn't see it. And the webbing to the feet went all the way back. But as we have progressed, because we came from monkeys, a cat bit your grandmother, every one of your grandmothers, and the webbed feet started to solidify because they pulled the apple from the tree. That is how absurd and ridiculous the things are that we actually debate today. And people are celebrating stuff like cutting off kids' penises and, grooming children and putting up pride flags and then using this idea that, don't we want to be nice to everyone? In this social experiment to get everybody to come along with it and say, yeah, I want to be nice to everyone. I don't want to yell at people. I want children to feel like not get bullied while they're bullying everybody and ridiculing, taking from people what is not theirs. But we were right. And you come to the election on November 3rd, and we saw with our own eyes, and they're like, no, what you saw was an illusion. November 3rd, we saw it. And then before that, we had Bernie Sanders that got on TV with one of the late night hosts and said, this is what's going to happen. Trump's going to be winning. You're going to go to sleep. You're going to wake up in the morning, and then they'll start counting all the other ballots, and then poof, Biden wins. And we saw the same tale play out with Katie Hobbs in Arizona. And you got people like Garrett Archer, who calls himself a data guru, who talks about, he just did this online, talked about the x-axis being an illusion inside of elections because you don't know how elections work. Because math somehow changes when you deal in elections in different states. So we saw what happened on November 3rd. We saw what happened through the election. We saw the ridicule what they went after President Trump for. We saw what they did to us. At the same time, they were already talking about insurrection. They were talking about insurrection back in October. They had already been planning what they were going to use as their narrative in the media. And the media largely captured by really bad people like Soros. And by the way, none of these people that talk about this stuff believe it. But that's not the point. The point is that stupid people believe it. And the more stupid people are that are given a voice, I believe social media was the downfall of America. It's the downfall of the world. It gave a playground for retarded people to be able to have a voice that could be elevated in such a way and then told you're not allowed to punch them in the face. And in essence, at the same time, these same stupid people or retarded people or evil people were then said, and by the way, if you get arrested, we'll just let you out. Because we're going to create new rules that we would abolish the police so you can go rob and treat people horribly with impunity. And we'll just keep letting you out. And then if you do have people that stand up to them, like the guy in New York that stood up to the guy on the train, we'll just charge him with murder. So you don't worry, we're going to elevate all these bad people. And we knew what happened. We knew what happened with Russiagate, came back that it was true. We knew what happened with COVID, came back to it was true. We knew what happened with the election, came back to it was true. We have so much evidence, and yet you have people that gaslight us with there's no evidence, no evidence, no evidence, no evidence. And these people are pushing us into a corner where, frankly, it's going to end up in war. Why? Because people like me, and I will say people like me, we're just tired. We're tired of being ridiculed and bullied and having money stolen from us. And that's what's happening right now. They rewrite the rules. And then they say, well, the judiciary said nothing to see here. And we know it's a lie. Sane people know it's a lie. My left friends and my right friends and my in-between friends and your left friends and right friends, they all know it's a lie, except for stupid people. And those that, for a small bag of coins, became the Judas to the rest of the American people or to societies around the world. Because we're not different than there are in other countries. There's no difference. The amount of tyranny that we face as a nation, and we're going to go through this stuff with these emails and some of the things that are declassified, you're going to be blown away. But you were right all along. These are really evil people, and we sit on the sidelines and we're like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah, there is. And the more and more that I see the things happen, the more and more I'm convinced that these things need to happen. Judges need to be ripped out of their chairs. Ripped out of their chairs. Evicted. People in office that violate the trust, like Attorney General Phil Weiser, need to be ripped out of their chairs and evicted. The governor. And we say, oh, that's just crazy talk. Okay. Well, what's the alternative? You have DEI initiatives that still are alive and well in the state of Colorado, not because they believe it, but because they want the most incompetent, stupid people in those positions so that they can control them. And we know that's the case because that's what they did in California and many other states. And we sit back and we let it happen. So let's walk through this. This is an email from, Uncovered from the burn bags reveals an email from Leonard Bernardo, Deputy Director of George Soros's Open Society Foundation. I want to say this. You ready for this? Open Sources Society had an office on the same floor as Dominion Voting Systems in California or in Canada. That's not made up. That's not hyperbolic. But let's read this. It's from 2016. This was inside the burn bag. From Leonard Bernardo. These people have committed treason. And I, for one, think that it's way past time that we hold these people accountable by any and all means necessary. This was sent on July 27, 2016. HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton, approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russia hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from our own missing emails, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. The point is making the Russia play a U.S. domestic issue. Play a U.S. domestic issue. Say something about critical infrastructure there for the elections to feel menace, since both POTUS and VPOTUS have acknowledged the fact IC would speed up searching for evidence that is regrettably still unavailable. However, there seems to be signs GRU penetration. Cyrillic 2.0 VPN, Elite VPN, Felix Edmatovich, they appear hardly skilled, incomplete, bumbling idiots. As SMB, somebody called them. In absence of direct evidence, CrowdStrike and Threat Connect will supply the media, and GRU will hopefully carry on to give more facts. The office interviewed numerous FBI personnel who were involved in Crossfire Hurricane or related intelligence efforts to determine whether they could shed light on the potential liability or unreliability of the information about the possible Clinton campaign plan. Certain analysis of officers within the office were interviewed and were well-versed on the sensitive intelligence collection stated that their best assessment that it was Bernardo emails were likely authentic. Multiple analysts notes that the Russian had in fact hacked Bernardo's email. Some analysts also noted it was possible, however, that the next page. We have the next page on that. We don't have the next page. Oh, okay. Memorandum stated that Clinton approved a plan proposed by one of her foreign policy advisors, Julianne Smith, to smear Donald Trump by magnifying the scandal tied to the intrusion by the Russian special services in the pre-election process to benefit the Republican candidate. This translated draft memorandum stated is relevant part. I'm disgusted. Whew. According to data from the election campaign headquarters of Hillary Clinton obtained by the U.S. Soros Foundation on 26th of July, 2016, Clinton approved a plan of her policy advisor, Juliana Smith, from the TSNAB-TN unknown acronym, to smear Donald Trump to magnifying the scandal tied to the intrusion by the Russian special services in the pre-election process to the benefit of the Republican candidate. As envisioned by Smith, raising the theme of Putin's support for Trump to the level of the Olympic scandal would divert the constituents' attention from the investigation of Clinton's compromised electronic correspondence. In addition to the subsequent steering public opinion toward the notion that it needs to equate Putin's efforts to influence political processes in the U.S. via cyberspace to acts against a crucially important infrastructure resembling a national power supply network. That would force the White House to use more confrontational scenarios vis-a-vis Moscow that as a whole suits Clinton's line of conduct. Relatively sluggish reaction to the administration in the event surrounding the DNC that led the resignation of Chairman Deborah Weiserman Schultz, provoked exasperation within the PC, TN possibly political convention, and the entire deep state, which may also be used by Clinton to reinforce her position through the security service agent. Clinton supporters of the FBI lack conclusive and infutable evidence of the Russian Federation's involvement in the scandal tied to the theft of DNC's correspondence. In the meantime, during the launch investigation, there has been a multiple of circumstantial evidence that the alias of, oh my gosh, Guccifer 2.0, the name of the hacker who accepted responsibility for the incident, was in fact used. Okay, go to the next page. Okay, notice campaign. Is that the next page? I don't know why M-Tray Ultra does this. Truth Ultra does this. Notion the campaign might have wanted to be expected the FBI agencies to aid that effort, pour more oil in the fire, and commencing a formal investigation of a DNC hack. This is pretty bad. The response by the FBI and U.S. intelligence agencies to this sensitive intelligence. In the days and weeks following receipt of the sensitive intelligence from TI, multiple high-ranking U.S. officials received reports and briefings conveying and summarizing, among other information, the intelligence concerning the purported plan by the Clinton administration, Clinton campaign. For instance, on August 3rd, 2016, during a meeting at the White House, CIA Director Brennan briefed President Obama, Vice President Biden, DNI Clapper, FBI Director Comey, and other U.S. officials regarding Russian interference efforts, as well as the TI intelligence received concerning the reference plan by the Clinton campaign. Brennan's handwritten notes stated in part, we're getting additional insight from Russian activities that cite alleged approval by Hillary Clinton on 26 July of a proposed plan from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up scandal, claiming Russian interference in the Russian security services, by the Russian security service. In addition to, as described in the unclassified report on September 7th, 2017, here it is. The CIA sent the FBI an investigative referral memorandum that referred to, among other information, the purported Clinton campaign plan. Take it down. Let's go ahead and play cut 4. I am so angry right now because part of the information that I gave to the Coomer lawyers, and I'm sorry to make that about it. Just so you guys know, I was hit with, in a case I'm not tied to. And let me just tell you what they want. They want the Antifa kid, which I'll never give up. Ever. It will never happen. There will never be a time that I give this kid up. And they want who gave me access to the social posts. Now, they've already admitted the social posts are his. So not really sure how that actually squares. But they want those people. So I said no. I'm a news person. I have news person privilege. It already is found in the original case. But they lied to the judge about that too. Well, then some malpractice by my attorney, who I think was, this is my thoughts. I think he was in on it. I think that the attorney that represented me in the Coomer case was in on it. I think he conspired with the counsel, Kane, Coomer's counsel, and never responded to briefs and never filed an answer and never raised my newsperson privilege in front of the judge during a deposition that I was asked to give in the Clay Clark lawsuit. I've been villainized in all of this. So the groundbreaking part of this is that David Clements wrote in a appeal brief for me. It went to the 10th Circuit. And 10th Circuit says, paint is dry. Your attorney didn't argue that. So procedurally, you can't argue it. Therefore, you have to pay these fees. Oh, and you have to pay the fees related to an appeal on a case that you're not a party to, which, by the way, I've looked everywhere for case law for this. And so we're going to break you, Joe. And this is a big announcement. Kyle Clark will go ahead and cut this part. $90,761, I think. In a case I wasn't even a party to, that they settled the case. And they're finding ways to take from me in every single case. So I was ordered by another corrupt judge another corrupt court to pay $90,761. And all the evidence gets swept under the rug. Kind of like this with President Trump and Russiagate. Only I don't have the same resources that President Trump has. I've been smeared from one end to the other. I think both sides of the aisle are total dog shit. I think if you take President Trump and he would start a brand new third party, I think most Americans would jump ship to it right away. So there you go. You got it. $90,761. It's going to be great. Let's hear how Fox reacts to the declassified. And I think the part that upsets me is that Coomer's the liar. Coomer's the guy that runs into buildings, wears Satan's tattoo on his arm, who posts an Antifa manifesto and writes things about killing cops and brags about raping his then wife. And stuff that you can't even get access to, which is almost going to prison for a long time by his own words for what he did as a drug addict. So you got a Satan worshiping guy that literally has more hate in his heart than I think anyone else, who's, by all accounts, is a sociopath. And I come forward and the punishment is on me by the same apparatus that has allowed this to happen to President Trump. Totally makes sense. Play 4.
Well, hi, Harris. Special Counsel John Durham's investigation into the origins of the Trump-Russia narrative began in 2019, ended 4 years later in 2023. Now, he took 2 people to trial, lost both times, but he did, Harris, secure a plea deal with a former FBI lawyer. Durham's final report, a 300-page document. Here he is in 2023.
Our findings were sobering. I can tell you, having spent 40 years plus as a federal prosecutor, they were particularly sobering to me.
Now, for the first time, we're seeing this declassified now annex. It's 29 pages. It discusses more allegations and information about the Clinton campaign's alleged efforts to discredit then-candidate Trump. Durham obtained emails via Russian intelligence, and the emails were allegedly written by a man named Leonard with the Open Society Foundation. That's the foundation tied to George Soros. According to the annex, Leonard writes about a Clinton campaign advisor named Julianne. She's also referred to by Julie and Julia. One of the emails says, Julie says it will be a long-term affair to demonize Putin and Trump. Now it is good for a post-convention bounce. Later, the FBI will put more oil into the fire. In another email obtained by Durham, Leonard allegedly wrote, HRC, meaning Hillary Rodham Clinton, approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. Now, Mr. Durham interviewed Julie, who told told him that she didn't draft or recall receiving any of these Leonard emails. The annex goes on to explain that the FBI was fully alerted to the possibility that at least some of the information it received about the Trump campaign might have origins with the Clinton campaign or Russian disinformation, but the FBI apparently dismissed that information, quote, as not credible without any investigative steps actually having been taken to either corroborate or disprove the allegations. I want to be clear, we've reached out to those mentioned in this annex that I just brought up in this report, but we have yet to hear back. Harris?
What do you think is going to happen with this? I can tell you what's going to happen with it. Nothing. Tina Peters will be in jail. And they'll continue to just take from people what's not theirs until one of those people snaps and then just takes it into their own hands and decides that we've had enough. I'm not saying that I'm going to snap. I'm saying that at some point, when you know that the entire system is rigged against everyone, and that's what it is, it's rigged. It's a rigged system. And there is no Department of Justice that, I mean, there is Department of Justice, but there is no, you have judges that are blocking presidential authority under no authority to stop, to even support a law that kicks people out of the country, like illegals out of the country. Like, you're here illegally, you committed a crime, and they're like, no, you have to keep that guy. Like, judges are doing that while blocking the ability for us to have free and fair elections. And then check this out. This is Hillary Clinton approved the plan hatched by campaign aide to smear President Trump. Let's go ahead and play cut 5.
According to the annex, Leonard writes about a Clinton campaign advisor named Julianne. She's also referred to by Julie and Julia. One of the emails says, Julie says it will be a long-term affair to demonize Putin and Trump. Now it is good for a post-convention bounce. Later, the FBI will put more oil into the fire. In another email obtained by Durham, Leonard allegedly wrote, HRC, meaning Hillary Rodham Clinton, approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. Now, Mr. Durham interviewed Julie, who told him that she didn't draft or recall receiving any of these Leonard emails. The annex goes on to explain that the FBI was fully alerted to the possibility that at least some of the information it received about the Trump campaign might have origins with the Clinton campaign or Russian disinformation, but the FBI apparently dismissed that information, quote, as not credible without any investigative steps actually having been taken to either corroborate or disprove the allegations. I want to be clear, we've reached out to those mentioned in this annex that I just brought up in this report, but we have yet to hear back. Harris?
David, you are on it. Like I said, it has barely been an hour that this is breaking, so thank you very much for the update on it.
Thank you. Sure.
Let's get to this.
Barely been an hour. Yes, this is a hard show for me to do because it brings back all the memories of what we've gone through. And I think we've forgotten more about what people have done to us as Americans. And this is actually the most telling part. Let's put this up. Let's put up 6. Whistleblowers reveal how they were threatened by a supervisor to go along with the Obama-directed Russian hoax intelligence assessment, even after they knew it was not credible or accurate. The whistleblower refused. Let's go through this. For 6 years, the senior intelligence official battled political and bureaucratic resistance in efforts to expose the manipulated intelligence behind the Russia collusion hoax. On Wednesday, Director of National Intelligence, DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, released new documents which provided a firsthand account of the intelligence community. Whistleblowers' relentless efforts to expose the egregious manipulation and manufacturing of intelligence. This release provides the whistleblowers' firsthand account of the work carried out in the months leading up to the November 2016 election. The concerns were raised about the use of discredited information as then DNI Clapper and Central Intelligence Director Brennan worked to craft the January 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment, ICA, at Obama's request, and how a direct supervisor attempted to pressure the whistleblower to endorse the January 7, 2017 ICA key findings after the Russian government allegedly support for then candidate Trump. Thank you to the brave intelligence community whistleblower who courageously came forward to expose the truth about one of the biggest and most impactful scandals in our nation's history, said D&I Gabbard. The whistleblower put their own well-being on the line to defend our democratic republic and ensure that American people learn the truth about how President Obama directed the creation of intelligence community assessments that knowingly promoted falsehoods claiming Russia helped President Trump get elected in 2016. In doing so, the Obama administration sought to delegitimize the 2016 election and President Trump's presidency, subverting the will of the American people and enacting essentially a years-long coup against President Trump and the American people. Thanks to the individual and their courageous whistleblowers, the American people are finally learning the truth about the dangerous consequences of weaponized intelligence. Truth and accountability will ensuring this doesn't happen again. And here's the highlights of the first-hand account by the whistleblower. Statements from the whistleblower's supervisor pressuring the whistleblower to accept the contrived January 2017 ICA findings, despite expressing concerns about the discredited information used to support these findings, an action that the whistleblower's supervisor said would be necessary for the whistleblower to receive a promotion. Whistleblower refused to accept and concur in the January 2017 ICA findings, stating, "I could not concur in good conscience based on the information available that Russia preferred then candidate Trump in 2016. The whistleblower concerned about flawed intelligence practices, namely using open source references to Russian media as evidence for the Russians' government support for Trump while ignoring foreign media in other nations, including NATO allies, that denigrated Trump and supported Hillary Clinton. The whistleblower repeatedly attempted to report concerns about the false information used in the January 2017 ICA to multiple government officials, including the IC Inspector General." Take it down. And let me just tell you something else. You ready for this? This just shows you how deep it goes. Tulsi Gabbard went on to say this. Let's go ahead and play it. This will shock you. This is shocking right here.
How many people are you surrounded by that are still part of that old system?
It's a good question. As we're finding these documents, going through them, declassifying and releasing them, we are learning more about who is actually directly involved and implicated in this. We're learning more about who may have been in the room and who was loudly protesting against it, recognizing how wrong it was. We have whistleblowers coming forward with their own documentation of their protests and their unwillingness to go along with this. So yes, there are people who are still working within the intelligence community who had a hand in this. As we are identifying them, it will give us the opportunity to make sure that they and others like them who, again, are so willing to weaponize intelligence to subvert the will of the American people can no longer work in the intelligence community.
How rotted do you have to get when the President of the United States has 4 years through special means of treason derailed? And this all comes down to the reason why these people are allowed to exist is because we don't have elections that allow for people to choose their leadership at any level. And media is shielded and allowed to slander and defame people with impunity. And then laws are enacted, anti-SLAPP laws specifically, that give them the ability to have an opinion as journalists, except for if you have an opinion that is against their popular view and exposes them to something as a whistleblower, because as a journalist, you should be protected. Unless your name is Joe Oldman. Then you're not protected. Then you get railroaded. And they prop up a Satanist and a company called Dominion Voting Systems that, frankly, is one of the most disgusting companies you're ever going to find. And we know it. And then they start every conversation with, you have to show us the receipts. And now we have receipts. And do you know what the left is already starting to do? They're already starting to go backwards and say, this is all disinformation, misinformation. Because who are they actually talking to? Some of the dumbest human beings on the planet. People that are really stupid anyway. People that believe that a man could be a woman, including Ketanji Brown. We are a soulless nation at this point with some of these people in these positions of trust and authority. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Before we do, I just want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Goldco. And they are a great sponsor for us. And there's something happening right now where gold and silver and copper, by the way. And I don't think you can buy copper at Goldco. But copper dropped by, I think it was 90 cents in one day. So it shot up when they started talking about tariffs. And then yesterday, copper dropped by 90 cents. And then I promptly went and bought a bunch today as a result of that. But gold and silver is something that can actually enhance your IRA. It also protect you. You know, it's hedging your bets. It's a long-term play that allows for you to retire with some consistency. We don't know what's going to happen with the currency. It's been done for the last 2,000 years. Gold prices today are at $32.89. I think silver prices dropped by a couple dollars yesterday too. $36.80. So a couple dollars it dropped. So it's a good time to invest in it. I do believe that gold and silver, based on the inconsistencies that we have in the digital currency and everything else, it's not a fiat currency. It's something to be invested in. So go to untamedgold.com. And I got a video up there. You can say hi to me there. But you can go there, get your free kit, and just give it an opportunity to check out what they have. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, boy, we're going to talk about a surveillance state and all the things that they've been talking about for the last 30 years that are coming home to roost. So we'll be right back. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
My first time here shooting at the shooting range.
How's it going? It's also my first time, and I'm really excited.
It's also my first time here, first time shooting a gun.
My day off of work, and they were like, hey, you want to shoot some guns? That was awesome. The revolver is crazy. I will definitely come again.
Yeah, it was awesome. Really cool experience.
100% bringing my friends here another time.
I like to come shoot because I get to spend time with my family. Same for me. I love spending time with my family. It's something to do.
It's a lot of fun shooting.
When I first moved back into town, the first place I came was DCF Guns, and I signed up for a membership right away.
I got into shooting because of self-defense. I would encourage all women to be ready and to feel comfortable handling a handgun.
This was my first time ever shooting at DCF West. It felt amazing. I shot an AR-15 and it was amazing. It was powerful and I loved it.
I'm here today as a part of a group of women that support one another in continuing to practice and refine our knowledge.
Not only self-protection of ourselves, but protection of our loved ones as well.
I have fun and I get to meet with other ladies.
You should always be prepared to defend yourself.
And I love coming to DCF Guns West to shoot. I come with my family. It's a nice, clean, friendly range. Here I feel safe. I feel like the people to my left and my right are also really cognizant of their range etiquette. That's why I come to DCF Guns West.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting! If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. All right, so I'm going to read a couple comments from Jeff. Jeff, I just want you to know something. I've spent the last 2 days. You're not doing your part either. You're not sharing. So don't get mad at me for being low energy. It's not called low energy. It's called sitting in a hospital room for a couple of days. It sucks. Anybody that's had to do it, yeah, you don't like it either. So, matter of fact, if you don't be quiet, I'm gonna cut my hair. And see how Allie likes that. I said I might cut my hair off if you guys keep picking at me. Yeah, behave, Jeff. See, you got that. You were told to behave. And don't eat yellow snow. Okay. I'm just looking at some of the comments you got there. Let me see what else we got up here. Okay. Well, all right. I'm done. Don't do it, Joe. I like my hair, my new locks. Yeah, it's good. I got a lot of it now. All right, can we just talk about the digital health ecosystem? We want to bring healthcare into the digital age because that really worked. I mean, just ask Kaiser how that's working out. They want to have trusted partners, and let me just tell you who the trusted partners are. Let's go. Just put up B1.
But with today's announcement, we take a major step to bring healthcare into the digital age, something that is absolutely vital. You got to do it. Moving from clipboards and fax machines into a new era of convenience, profitability, and speed, and frankly, better health for people. Under the leadership of Administrator Oz, we're officially launching the CMS Digital Health Tech Ecosystem to give healthcare providers, insurers, and software companies the tools they need to empower Americans with a 21st century experience on health. The key breakthrough we've made is getting many of the biggest names in the healthcare and technology to agree to industry-wide standards for electronic medical records. All of those great companies that you just heard have gotten together with this group of very brilliant people. I don't know who's more brilliant, them or them. I don't know. Could be them. I hate to tell you. It could very well be them. But I don't know. I'm going to take my team. But the key breakthrough we've made is getting many of the biggest names in healthcare and technology to agree to that those standards of electronic medical records that we talk about and you've heard about for so many years, and now it's happening. This will allow patients to easily transmit information from one doctor to another, even if they're different networks and using different record-keeping systems. No matter what system they use, they're all transferable. The new standards will also make it simple for patients to access their own personal health records. I don't want to see mine, please. I don't want to see. I don't know about you. They have all sorts of things, sir. They can tell you exactly what your problem is going to be in 6 years. We can do it. You know, they have all these different things. I don't know if they work or not, but I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. If they got a problem, I don't want to know about it right now. But it is amazing what they're doing. I don't know. Does it actually work? Can they do that? All right. Well, then I'm glad I said I don't want to know. But thanks to this announcement, healthcare providers across the country will also finally be able to kill the clipboard. It's an expression that's used, capital, with a capital C, kill the clipboard. Instead of filling out the same tedious paperwork at every medical appointment, patients will simply be able to grant their doctors access to their records at the push of a button. Just a button and you're all set, and all the information the doctor needs will be immediately transmitted. The system will be entirely opt-in, and there will be no centralized government-run database, which everyone is always concerned about. I'm less concerned than anybody. I say whatever it is, it is. But people are very, very concerned about the personal records. They want to keep them very quiet, and that's their choice. I think it's a great thing because it'll be absolutely quiet. Instead, doctors and patients will always remain in control. The benefits to millions of Americans will be enormous. We will save time, we will save money, and most importantly, we'll save lives. It's just going to make people live longer and be a lot healthier. I think that's really what you're looking to do. And now
they're going to make people live longer. Okay, so that's not actually what's happening, but they say that that's what's going to happen. So this just ushers in Yuval Noah Harari is probably one of the most disgusting human beings you're ever going to come across. He was the one from the stick figure gay dude from the University of Jerusalem who worked with the World Economic Forum. And this is what it looks like. And this is how he explains why COVID was critical. This is a guy that, go ahead and listen to this.
COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin, their body temperature. Like we walked in here, we had to go through a body temperature test. Now they're using it to see whether you have the coronavirus. But exactly the same technology can determine what you think about the government. You know, anger is a biological phenomena just like disease. It's not some spiritual thing out there. It's a biological pattern in your body. With this kind of surveillance, I mean, you watch the big president, the big leader, gives a speech on television. The television could be monitoring you and knowing whether you're angry or not, just by analyzing the cues, the biological cues coming from your body. Are you angry about what you hear? Are you frightened? Are you bored? This is the kind of power that Stalin didn't have. You know, when Stalin gave a speech, everybody, of course, clapped their hand and smiled. Now, how do you know what they really think about Stalin? It's very difficult. You can't have a KGB agent following everybody all the time. Even if you do it, he's just watching your outside behavior. He doesn't really know what's happening in your mind. But in 10 years, the future Stalins of the 21st century, they could be watching the minds, the brains of all the population all the time. And also they will have the computing power to analyze all that. You know, it's not just having an agent following everybody all the time. The agent in Stalin's days writes a paper report, and you have these millions of paper reports piling up in Moscow. Somebody needs to read them, to analyze them. That's impossible. Now you don't need human agents. You don't need human analyzers. You just have a lot of sensors and an AI which analyzes it, and that's it. You have the worst totalitarian regime in history. And COVID is important because COVID legitimizes some of the crucial steps, even in democratic countries.
Okay, so let me just kind of tell you what you just watched. Can I tell you what you just watched? You have a guy that talked about revering Joseph Stalin. The leader of the communist Russian until 1953, I think, 1952, 1953. And talked about the fact that if people clapped, right? They clap because what happens if you don't clap? You die. So now they want to be able to find the people in the population that don't align with the clapping. They want to find the people that they basically want to monitor your heart rate and monitor. I mean, this is surveillance state to a whole new level. And it doesn't bother President Trump, and it doesn't bother other people that, frankly, are at the. I mean, I'll just say it. President Trump has another. I mean, I hope he has another 30 years. But let's be honest. You know, he's not a spring chicken. He's lived a great life. This applies more to kids coming up. Imagine being so. Everybody seen the helicopter parents? Imagine having helicopter parents to a degree where it's pressing down on you. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's something you want to do. I mean, what could be used for good will be used for bad. Just count on it. And nothing the government has done. I mean, go back to Reagan era. They had his problems too. You had the Iran-Contra affair. You had a bunch of really weird stuff that happened. You still had the CIA. CIA was deeply involved in what happened with Hillary Rodham Clinton and what happened with Russiagate. They were right in the middle of it. It was basically a fraternity that was involved in conspiracy. This is what RICO is made of. This makes Al Capone look like a saint. I think the Catholic Church should saint Al Capone at this point. Because what they've done up to this point is it's not just criminal, it's diabolical. So Harari, go check out that guy. Go look him up. If you can find a redeeming quality about this guy, and I want you to say something else, that was the Athens Democracy Conference. They have perfected dog whistles. They have perfected grifter. They have perfected democracy. We have to protect the democracy. Nothing that they do is democratic. Look at what's happening in Ukraine, not democratic. Look at what's happening in France. Their entire country is being overrun by radical crap bags, illegals, migrants. And if you think that it's just Western countries, we just talked about what was happening in Japan. This is a concerted effort to put really bad people in positions that could be bought for very little. A little bit of power. Hey, we're gonna mature you, and we're gonna be the ones to tell everyone you're the cool kid. We're gonna Jeffrey Epstein you into a place of power and authority, and then you're gonna do exactly what we tell you to do. Manchurian candidates in every single country across the world. And you'd say that's kind of crazy, Joe. Like that can't be what's happening. And I would tell you, if one country does it, okay. If 2 countries do it, okay, 10, 15. But every single country. And do you want to know the white epidemic of talking about white people and white people are the problem? That's not just in the United States. That's in other nations. And the people that are behind that are Jewish, faithless, atheist, godless individuals. Every single organization. Look, let me put this so you understand it. Every single organization, every LGBTQ whatever organization, nonprofit that's out there, Anti-Defamation League. I mean, I can go down the line. They're all run by faithless, godless zealots. Every single one of them. So much so that even the Jewish collective, Jews that are faith-based, they're afraid. They're doing this when Stalin gets up. It's not Stalin though. It's Netanyahu. Even President Trump, blink twice if you're being held hostage. He'll be in press conferences saying stuff, and he'll be blinking as in, "Save me, I'm being held hostage." I don't think it's really being held hostage, but he's being held hostage by entire groups of policy that he has to support. It's like a Jenga puzzle. You're not allowed to pull those out. And you have people that are kind of fighting against it, I think, for whatever reason, that are a part of this atheistic movement that now are pushing different countries to do things that they want them to do. It's like they're just like moving the chess pieces all around the table. We're over here playing checkers and they're playing chess, and they're literally demolishing us with the use of words. More importantly, they're going to use every ability to see. It's a thought crime. What you thought was not happening is going to happen. They have you wearing those bracelets and rings that give them all the heartbeat stuff, and they take that information, they collect it, just like 23andMe. Same thing, same principle with 23andMe. Now, you have Bobby Kennedy that said you're going to be in control of all your health records. And he had a meeting with an Indonesian health minister, and what he found was amazing. In just a few years, since 1990, Indonesia has increased the lifespan of women by 8 years and by men by 9 years. They are incentivized not to eat processed foods. Let's go ahead and play it.
About 3 weeks ago, I met with the Indonesian health minister. And Indonesia today is regarded as the highest flourishing nation on earth. Since 1990, it has increased the lifespan of its women by 8 years, of its men by 9 years. There's no country that has a record like that. And there are two major innovations that allowed them to achieve that extraordinary outcome. And one of those was to disincentivize people from eating processed foods. Oh, you are paid not to eat processed foods, and you are penalized for eating processed foods. The other innovation that really transformed Indonesia was allowing people control of their individual health records. He showed me the app that they use that everybody in Indonesia has. And it shows your height, your weight, your blood type, your BMI, your cardiac markers, your diabetes markers, your cholesterol, and any kind of individualized treatments that you've had. So if you go to a doctor in another town, he doesn't do what we have to do here, which is to sit there with a clipboard and a fax machine in order to get your health records. It's available, and it allows them to give better treatment. It also allows you to make better choices over your life. And there's other apps like Yaka in Indonesia that allow you to choose good foods when you go to the grocery store. So you can turn your app on your phone and you can get full information of those foods. Well, now if you have your medical records, you can get personalized advice. And that app will also give you advice about a better alternative. So we're going to be able to, we met, Dr. Oz and I met with the former Prime Minister Rudd of Australia just before, just after the election during the transition phase. And he, after his retirement as Prime Minister, he ran a commission to reorganize the Australian health system, and they revolutionized and they vastly improved health in Australia. And he said the single thing that he did that was most important to that transformation was the transparency that occurs when people control their own health records. Because it gives people the choice over their own health decisions and over their own lives, and it gives them a sense of responsibility and allows them to measure the interventions if they change their diet, if they change their exercise. It can show you how many steps you took today. It can tell you if your glucose is spiking. And all of that information will now be available to American citizens.
You know, we're a pretty fat society, and we've let big pharma take over. We've let all these different facets of government take over, and I think there's a utopian look by what Bobby Kennedy thinks will be good, and people are in his ear saying, "Hey, do this," and people are going to follow you. It's the Pied Piper. The outcome's still the same. The outcome is that, you know, what happened in the Bible is a real thing. The bondage, that's a real thing. Tell me what the difference is between what we're actually dealing with right now. Speaking of digital surveillance, let's talk about this. Senator Roberts yesterday reveals the e-safety commissar has set in her code that the purview extends to continuous video surveillance and the user behind the keyboard remains the same. Let's go ahead and play it.
Roberts.
Thank you. And I thank Senator Babette for this motion, which One Nation supports. In the recent election, One Nation campaigned against government overreach. The Internet Search Engine Services Online Safety Code for Class 1A and 1B material is a textbook case of government overreach. The e-Safety Commissar rejected the original code from the search industry, which was based on their knowledge of what was technically achievable. Instead, her office produced their own mandatory code with stronger provisions which are seriously flawed. The code is designed to regulate the search industry to stop children accessing harmful material, including online pornography and material showing high-impact violence or self-harm. That's a worthy cause, yet with dangerous implications. To achieve this, every search engine must include robust age verification. In practice, this brings search engines and similar sites under the purview of the Identity Verification Services Act and the Social Media Minimum Age Bill. Legislation that was passed for social media and is now being extended to Internet search without further reference to Parliament or any justification for doing so. Google or Bing search, as well as sites like TinEye, stock photo sites, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble and bizarrely Google Maps and Apple Maps will now require proof of age for every user. A trial of age verification software last year actually failed. It wasn't possible to tell age accurately. It can detect that someone is a child, yet not whether they are 15 or 16, making the technology pointless. The only way to establish age is with biometric data.
The only way to establish age is with biometric data. The human spirit was never meant to be controlled. It was never meant to be bottled up. That was in Australia, by the way. Now, keep in mind that most of the people that you have standing on these lecterns don't intend on following any of the rules. They don't follow them in that country. They don't follow them in this country. Why would they? They're not beholden to our rules. They can create stories and slander people and buy off judges and have people for a couple pennies and a little bit of popularity and a little bit of, here's a job for you, here's promotion for you, sell out the spirit of our country. They're not going to, they're not going to be around long enough for it to matter. But now, what they do in Australia, what they do in the UK, what they do in Canada, always seems to make its way to our front door. And we just tolerate it. Something has to happen. There just has to be an event. The same event that happened when somebody walks in and uses a gun to commit a crime. We don't pay any attention to the outcomes of taking away the ability for people to have their own sovereignty. But we haven't paid attention to the sovereignty of every other nation or any other people for decades. So why start now? No, everyone should be under surveillance, and they should be able to, because we need a daddy. We need a daddy. There's a thing that came out that said that America is on fire right now. Just look at the stock market. And I go, this can't be real. There is a angst that is happening across the board that is causing people to kind of, that false sense of positive or negative, positive, negative, tariffs, and we're paying more, and they're saying we're paying more, we're not paying more, and oh, here the sky is falling, and all this stuff is bad stuff is happening. I don't actually think it's all that bad, but I don't think it's as good as they're saying, that the market's up and GDP is going crazy, and part of the reason why GDP is up is because you have tariffs. But let me just go through a bunch of stuff real quick on some other news. The Fed is not going to lower interest rates. The Fed chair held a news conference. Now, just so you know, the Fed is your king. So he's the one that gets to tell you that, unless you're of a certain class, you get zero interest rates if you get in that class. That does exist, by the way. Banks have an entire class for certain businesses and certain people that get better rates than you do because they take all your, it's bad. Let's go ahead and play it. Play cut one.
Total PCE prices rose 2.5% over the 12 months ending in June, and that, excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.7%. These readings are little changed from the beginning of the year, although the underlying composition of price changes has shifted. Services inflation has continued to ease, while increased tariffs are pushing up prices in some categories of goods. Near-term measures of inflation expectations have moved up on balance over the course of this year on news about tariffs, as reflected in both market-based and survey-based measures.
Okay, so here's what that means for you. In November of 2007, I wrote a report that said consumer confidence is at an all-time high, and it's a false front. And give it a little time, it's going to crash. So now I'm going to tell you what I think. Consumer confidence is an all-time high. It's a false front. And we are seeing the degradation and collapse happen as a result of interest rates not being brought down. This is a purposeful excuse by the Fed chair in order to create instability in the community. Businesses are actually struggling. Companies are trying to find their footing. Large companies are doing more with less, meaning less people. And they're not making more money. They're just replacing an offboarding human capital and replacing it with AI and other tools that are less expensive. Now, that may be good because it's technology advancements, but the bad part about it is that when the collapse comes, it'll come fast. In Colorado, just as an example, the housing market is down 4%. Pricing on houses is going down dramatically. You're also seeing that same thing happen across the country. Typically, when you lower interest rates, which is what the Fed should have done, in this case, he should have done something in order to ignite and to stabilize. So that when you have a false floor, basically you're saying it's up here and all this air underneath here becomes instability. He's increasing the instability that happens in market. And that's why I tell people, put your money into things that you know are going to have value, gold and silver. It's the only reason that we move forward and going with Goldco is because they were reputable. And I think that's where people need to put their money. But that false front's there. It's big. It is a chasm. Now, I said that in November of 2007. I'm going to say it again. And this is, almost August of 2025. I think we're facing the same thing. And I think it's going to happen next year. So maybe it happens sooner than that. Maybe it happens in October, November. And I think that the Fed chair is a part of it. I think that what he's doing right now by not relieving pressure and bringing the false front down to the people or bringing the people up to it, right? By lowering interest rates and giving people access to capital accounts, because right now there's a freeze out happening. That is going to lead to massive amounts of instability, and that could lead to a collapse. And it won't take loaning money on they're not going to be able to blame it on housing. It's going to be ugly. And all of the money that is made in a lot of these blue chip stocks are all concentrated on certain places like Meta, things like that. Speaking of other false fronts, Nancy Pelosi went crazy on Jake Tapper over the idea that she is insider trading. Now, I want you to watch this, and then I'm going to tell you something about Pelosi. So go ahead.
Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the stop the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it. My husband is, but it isn't anything to do with it.
It's nothing to do with anything. She has outperformed the NASDAQ, outperformed every single, not one, not two. She is Bernie Madoff of stock trades. She is the Bernie Madoff of stock trades. There was a guy that followed her that built an entire app on just the investments of Nancy Pelosi and has outperformed everything. I mean, everything. You can just follow Nancy Pelosi and you will be worth $300 million. She had one that was 1,000% return in less than 9 months. 1,000% return. I mean, she invested $1 and it was worth $1,000. Now times that and extrapolate that by the tens of millions of dollars that she made, 1,000% return. She has outperformed every hedge fund and private equity firm that exists out there. She outperformed them. But she's not responsible for insider trading. And this is why I tell you that we are degraded to, and I want to make sure everyone goes to jail. They don't go to jail. You want to know why they don't go to jail? Because there's no rules for them. They can do whatever they want. They own judges. The whole thing with Coomer that I've figured out, and Coomer's attorneys, is that the entire system is designed to get an outcome. They get to get the outcome, whatever they want. There is no judicial system. We don't have a system of laws. We don't have a system of rules. We don't have a system of conscience. We just don't have it. It doesn't exist. Speaking of Democrats making fools of themselves, this one actually, you shouldn't get happy about the downfall of others, but I'm sorry I did. I'm gonna play it.
Senators voting in the affirmative: Baldwin, Blunt Rochester, Durbin, Heinrich, Hirono, Kane.
She didn't fall far enough. And last, I'll say this. Oprah Winfrey. Yeah, everybody knows Oprah. She owns a large swath of land. And in that, there's a road that she shut down. It was a road when she bought it. She shut this road down, which would have gotten people to high ground. And keep in mind, this is the same Oprah who had a spiritual advisor down in South America who was accused of raping over 300 children. 300 women and children. Over 300. That was her spiritual advisor. She also was very close to Weinstein. Super close. And there was a massive earthquake that happened in the Pacific, and it's probably the biggest one that's had in I think at least since I've been at least the last 100 years. An 8.8 on the Richter scale earthquake. And I'll let you see this. Hawaii needs our prayers, but Oprah Winfrey shut down the road that gets people out and wouldn't let people do it. So they had to go all the way around the island, just praying that the tsunami did not come. That the tsunami that would come with an earthquake, because it is very common, in order to get to high ground, no. Oprah shut that road down and said, peasants, you must now go around. It sounds really familiar, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound like Lahaina? Again, rules are for thee, not for me. We're slaves. Pay your 56 cents on every dollar, peasant. And we get to decide what we take from you and what we don't take from you. Play it. Those are the tsunami sirens that are happening in Hawaii to get to higher ground. So let's, we're going to pray for them as well. And speaking of that, Austin, do me a favor if you would. Let me see what people are saying here. Powell has Trump arrangements. Yeah, he does. Chromium capitalism are true free capitalism. Yep, Gammy, you're right. So there's a video that's inside of the rundown of Kamala Harris. And do you remember what I said before about you'll have someone stand up there that they think has stature and they will say something. And you're going to have to pull this video. But they will say something and it doesn't even make any sense. They'll go in and say your grandma's got web feet, but didn't have web feet. And it was just the apple from the tree fell and hit the pear, and then the pear came over here, and all of a sudden it started to disappear, and that's why your grandma doesn't have web feet. And everyone claps and goes, and you look around at everybody that's clapping and saying, yeah. And you're like, what in the world did that clown just say? That's where we are right now. The mockery of what they have done to us. The fact that there are people that think Kamala Harris is anything other than a drunk idiot is beyond pale. Like how she got to a place where she ran as the Attorney General of California shows you everything you need to know about the fact that the people in California are not stupid. The vast majority aren't stupid, but they surround themselves with enough stupid people who say, I'm a doctor, or devils that I'm a doctor, a bunch of coomers running around. I'm a doctor. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Enough of those people surround them that all of a sudden they become the authority. Do you have it by any chance? All right. And then I'm gonna put something out there for you guys after this that says. So while we're waiting on that, you can go ahead and hit the up button on Rumble. Thank you for the people on Pilled. I do appreciate your support. We are working on making sure we get all the stuff put out there so you get the so that you know when we're going live. I know that some of you said you were on the list and you're not getting it. We'll get it for you. All right. So this is Kamala Harris talking. Let's go and play it.
Never let anybody defeat that, because then what do we have left? And the way that I see it also is that when we think about like these moments where we see things that are being taken, but also let's see it as a, nature abhors a vacuum. So where there's a vacancy, then let's fill it, right? And let's know that the reality is that the progress of our nation has always been about the expansion of rights, not the restriction of rights. We're seeing a U-turn right now, but we have to keep fighting for those rights to be maintained, which means we have to be vigilant, and it's just the nature of it. It's the nature of it. Whatever gains we've made, they will not be permanent unless we're vigilant. And this nation, our democracy, our rights are only going to be as strong as our willingness to fight for it. And it's the nature of it that we do have to fight for those rights. You guys, look at this beautiful play and everything that we know. He was suppressed. He had to suppress so much, but he knew, and he took those risks. But we have to be clear-eyed. And it doesn't mean we don't see the beauty in everything, right? These things all coexist. But I believe we fight for something, not against something. Right? Right, and that's our optimism, right?
I don't even know what to say. Tell me what we just watched. You could not take more nonsense and put it into sentences. Now, she said one thing that I agree with. We have to, it won't be permanent. Our thing won't be permanent if we don't fight for it. And they're fighting for it, and it's creating permanency. And again, 100 yards, the radical left took us. We got back 40 yards. We still have 60 to go. And we should be going back another 40 or 60 because what they did in President Trump's first term is directly correlated to a lack of stability, which led to Biden being able to do the things that he did. Yeah, it was word salad. That's right. Steven says word salad. Oh, pretty crazy stuff. Susan Rice, good to see you. Allie, good to see you. Jeff, always good to see you. Okay, so I'm going to say this. I got to raise $90,000 in 11 days. $90,700 $90,761. I will post the link for it, or you can put it up. I think my daughter put up something. We'll just use that one. Yeah, I need to raise $90,000. I have to do it by August 11th. So I have 12 days. Give, send, go. Yeah, I think so. $90,761 in a case that I was not a party to, that I got charged for attorney's fees for appealing the fact that the judge threw out my ability to be a journalist. Even though I've started Conservative Daily in 2012, ran that all the way till now, changed it to, obviously we moved over to Untamed Nation, same. But yeah, and I can't appeal it because it was on the appeal for attorney's fees in the appeal. So now, by the way, I have had a bunch of lawsuits in business where people have taken from me and I've won, and I've asked for attorney's fees. I've never gotten it, ever. Never gotten it. But every single time this turns around with this crackhead Coomer and his entourage of evil attorneys, and they are evil. Here's the good news. They got the lawyer for him, that Kane got caught lying. I am going after Kane, 100% going after Kane. And I'm going to go after Coomer in this deal. And there's a lot of things you guys don't know that are happening. How is it that even legal? It's not legal, Allie. It's not legal. But it's destroy Joe time. And you have Kyle Clark and you have the rest of these radical leftists that get to do whatever they want to do in order to take from me what's not theirs to take. And they want to destroy my family. My lawyer said it best earlier. This is the only case that she has ever seen in her entire career where every time they turn left or turn right, the system literally dictates that Joe must pay. Everywhere. No matter where you turn, Joe has to pay. And we want to destroy Joe. And yet, go to Grok and ask Grok about Eric Coomer. Now, he's just an innocent guy. He's a guy that said he's never wrote an ounce of code. He said that too. Perjured himself there. In a separate statement, he says, oh yeah, I wrote all the code for this and this and this. These are just not honest people. Yeah, Susan says, call Mike Lindell, tell him to give you your money, Yoshi. Oh, I'm doing that too. It's just crazy. All right. So I'm gonna pray us out. If you can help me, great. If you can't, it's okay too. Just give me some prayers. All right. Let's pray it out. Yeah. Father God, thank you for the opportunity to be here. And thank you for the hope that you put in our hearts. Thank you for the things that you have given us, for the blessings, for the talents. And thank you for the journey. As hard as it is to walk that journey sometimes, Father, I just thank you for it. And I thank you for being there alongside me when I think I can't handle it, that you're just there to carry us. Father, I ask you to bless those people in Hawaii, that they may be protected, Father, and that they may find ways to seek higher ground and be in higher ground and be protected as a group of people. And that people like Oprah, maybe they can just, have a heart and do the right thing and open up the road that should have never been closed. Father, I ask you to bless our leaders, bless President Trump, bless Bobby Kennedy, be with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and so many others that are doing good work. And I can criticize them, and frankly, some of them I'm a little disappointed in at times. But Father, I know that in the end, it is your will to be done. So help us that we may be actively involved in standing up and speaking truth and acting in that truth and bringing things back to you, Father. Help us to have faith, to set aside our hopelessness and to truly focus our eyes on you. Help us, Father, that we may be innovative in our spirit and but also recognize the true evil that we're up against and play the part that you want us to play in fixing and restoring you to our communities, our country, and to the world, Father. We thank you again, Father, and we're here to serve. I say these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, I'll see you guys later. God bless you all. And yeah, I'll be here tomorrow, same time, same station. And then I head off to go get zappy zapped. So that'll be good and fun. Take care. God bless you.